Namaskar. Best wishes are for International Women's Day and Holi, the festival of colors in India. Good day and greetings to all our distinguished panelists and all participants joining us from across the globe. All India Women's Education Fund Association, AIWEFA, a 93-year-old organization founded by pioneering women architects of independent India, is proud to associate with the permanent mission of India to the United Nations in New York for the fourth year in succession. The theme for today's virtual side event for Commission on the Status of Women 67 is A World We Women and Girls Want, Technology Enabled Social and Economic Advancement. I cordially welcome the distinguished speakers who will present their perspectives on the CSW priority theme. Her Excellency Srimati Smriti Irani, Honorable Minister of Women and Child Development, Government of India. Her Excellency Ms. Ruchira Kamboj, Permanent Representative of India to the United Nations. Her Excellency Ms. Anita Bhatia, Assistant Secretary General and Deputy Executive Director of UN Women. Her Excellency Ms. Ilana Victoria Sai, Permanent Representative of Palau to the United Nations. Her Excellency Ms. Anna Karin Enström, Permanent Mission of Sweden to the United Nations. Her Excellency Ms. Inga Ronda King, Permanent Mission of St. Vincent and the Grenadines. Dr. Sangeeta Reddy, Joint Managing Director of Apollo Hospitals Enterprise Limited, India. We are grateful for your presence and participation. CSW 67 is being held at an extremely iconic juncture for India, being the 75th year of our independence and the year of India's presidency of the G20. There is palpable excitement in all corners of the country. The CSW side event priority theme of innovation and technological change and education in the digital age for achieving gender equality and the empowerment of all women and girls could not have come at a more opportune time. Digital transformation is the new normal for the post-COVID world, where internet emerged as our classroom, workplace, marketplace, meeting room, doctor's consulting clinic, and the preferred forum for exchanging ideas. India has focused on creating a digital architecture that is both inclusive, a catalyst for socio-economic transformation, and at the same time has reduced the gender divide in digital access. This architecture of digital public goods developed has embedded built-in democratic principles based on open source and open standards, interoperable and public. Emergence of learning applications in remote rural areas has increased the growth of learning. Technology in healthcare has provided a viable database that has led to further innovations in public health delivery systems, reaching out to the last mile. Expansion and adoption of digital payments, the culture of online orders, transaction and delivery platforms have helped increase women entrepreneurship across the country, emboldened to set up their businesses. India today boasts of a digital payment ecosystem that is the envy of the world. An urgent need emerges thus for international cooperation to strengthen the path for women's successful adoption of the possibilities presented by the digital age. Today's side event is being held by All India Women's Education Fund Association in partnership with the Permanent Mission of India to the United Nations in New York. A short film presenting a kaleidoscope of initiatives of the digital age contributing to gender equality and empowerment has been produced with the generous support of the Permanent Mission of India to the United Nations in New York. Ladies and gentlemen, may I take this opportunity to present the film?
Empowered women lead to growing economies.
Getting more girls in
science, technology, engineering and mathematics.
Wake up! Well, times have changed.
हमारे लिए टेक्नोलॉजी देश के सामान्य से सामान्य नागरिक को एम्पावर करने का एक सशक्त माध्यम है। और जब नारी खुद कुछ ठान लेती है तो उसकी दिशा नारी ही तय करती है।
Knowledge, they say, is the first human act. It's the first story ever told. There is power in it, independence in it. There is both nature and nurture from it. Knowledge, they say, is for those who are careful to not forget what already was, but to merge into it the way rivers merge into seas, and the seas become the ocean. When women learn, they learn with the vigor of the ocean. They learn the way they gather the million strands on their heads into winding braids with care, weaving freedom into each and every fold. They learn to teach better. They know, as they rewrite the pages of history, that they're penning down the future too with each letter. An initiation to technology. ITIs in rural India help young women achieve their dreams by providing technical training.
यहाँ ITI संगोद में फीमेल एनरोलमेंट के लिए कोई ट्रेनिंग फीस नहीं ली जाती है। लास्ट ईयर फीमेल्स ओरिएंटेड कंपनियां भी बुलाई थी हमने, JCB और हीरो मोटोकॉर्प।
जॉब चाहिए थी कि हम खुद का सेल्फ प्रोटेक्शन कर सकें।
मुझे बहुत अच्छा लगता है कि मैं लड़की होके वेल्डिंग कर लेती हूँ, रोबोट ऑपरेट कर लेती हूँ। और आज सारे लोग बहुत खुश हैं कि मैं जॉब कर रही हूँ, पूरी फैमिली बहुत खुश है, प्राउड करती है बहुत। पहले घबराते थे हर चीज़ में, मैं यहाँ से कोटा तक भी अकेले नहीं जा पाती थी, लेकिन अब मैं जयपुर से गांव तक का सफ़र अकेले कर लेती हूँ।
खुद का सेल्फ कॉन्फिडेंस बहुत हाई लेवल हो गया।
They learn because they know what it's like to invent a new world. Data for development. The Ashas that go door to door and connect lives and people with healthcare.
ग्राउंड लेवल पे जो सुपर स्पेशलिटी सर्विसेज हमारी गवर्नमेंट ऑफ इंडिया ने प्रोवाइड करवाई है, ई-संजीवनी पोर्टल के थ्रू उसको प्रोवाइड कराया जा रहा है, जिसमें हमारी आशा वर्कर घर घर जाके सर्वे करती है और सिम्टम्स के अनुसार पेशेंट को आइडेंटिफाई करके हमारे पास रेफर करती है।
घर घर जाके सर हम पेशेंट के अपने फ़ोन में ऐप द्वारा डाटा जमा करते हैं। फ़ोन में से फ़ायदा घना हो रहा है। ये पेशेंट ने इतनी दूर जाना पड़ता था, जो हमारे सेंटर पे यही नज़दीक होने से सुविधा मिल रही है। ज़िंदगी में बदलाव अच्छा आया है जी, कुछ सीखने को मिला है, एक पहचान बनी है, भाई हाँ हमारे गांव में एक आशा है।
They learn because they care. Because there's only one way to live, the way of the gentle and the kind. Invention for everyone. Care India found that the traditional mud chulhas in the rural kitchen are not only inefficient but are also harmful for the women who work on them every day. As a solution, they are manufacturing and distributing a simple and easy to use stove that they call Bachat, which is designed to allow better combustion of fuel through its air circulation chamber, leading to lesser smoke and lower fuel consumption.
समय की बचत। एक्स्ट्रा टाइम को तो मेरे को ये कह लो, मैं कभी सिलाई करने बैठ जाती हूँ, मैं अपना सूट सिल लेती हूँ, या मैं कभी कभार एक नाटक जरूर देखूँ फोन में।
They learn because they know better than to forget what really fosters growth. They've seen their ancestors do so over and over again. Roshni, Lady Irwin College. The Roshni Center at Lady Irwin College works with women's groups in rural India to lead nutrition and health interventions. The center provides technical support to the Indian government's poverty alleviation program and its vast network of women's groups. Roshni tests and designs interventions that can be scaled up in one of the most deprived communities. These programs are designed with a gender and equity lens, engaging not just women, but men and boys to advance gender equality. For an intelligent future. This startup is using artificial intelligence to shape the minds of the future.
NEMA basically is neuroelectrical mind for all. There is no awareness around special children, like not everybody knows what is autism, ADHD or Down syndrome. NEMA AI is basically an artificial intelligence based platform where for the non-verbal special children, we are creating a product which will help them think and that will talk for them on the screen, and the parent and teacher can have the communication easier. The future vision for NEMA AI is basically to think and express yourself by just the brain waves.
They learn because they know. Innovation is the key to keep the world spinning. Their eyes sparkle with everything tomorrow can be. You see, they've touched the skies in their dreams. And when a woman wants to make a dream come true, well, you better get out of the way.
The future is
Female.
Thank you for your attention. Ladies and gentlemen, the side event now commences with our distinguished speakers. I have the greatest pleasure in introducing Her Excellency, Ambassador Ruchira Kamboj, Ambassador of India to the Permanent Mission of India to the United Nations in New York. Ruchira Kamboj is the first woman diplomat from India to assume the position of permanent representative and ambassador of India to the UN from 2nd August 2022 onwards. Her illustrious career in diplomacy spans prestigious assignments such as First Secretary Economic and Commercial in Mauritius, Counselor at India's Permanent Mission to the United Nations in New York, India's Consul General in Cape Town, South Africa, India's Chef de Protocol, the first woman so far in government to have held this position, the High Commissioner of India to South Africa, and the 18th Ambassador of India to Bhutan. She also handled India's relationship with the Commonwealth of Nations, representing India at the 14th Commonwealth Heads of Government meeting in October 1995 at Auckland, New Zealand. I invite Ambassador Ruchira Kamboj to present her welcome address. Ms. Ruchira Kamboj.
Thank you very much. Honorable Minister Smriti Irani ji, Srimati Rita Menon, Excellencies, esteemed speakers, distinguished participants. We are indeed delighted to partner once again with the All India Women's Education Fund Association in organizing today's special event. We deeply appreciate the work being done by you in the sphere of women's empowerment and gender equity. We're deeply privileged to have in our midst today Her Excellency Srimati Smriti Irani, Minister of Women and Child Development of India, who will deliver the keynote address. Her activism serves always to inspire and motivate. I also thank the Deputy Executive Director of UN Women, Ms. Anita Bhatia, and the distinguished permanent representatives and my colleagues from Palau, Sweden, and St. Vincent and the Grenadines in joining us for this important event. I thank you all and greatly look forward to your insights. Colleagues, the ancient civilizational values and cultural ethos of India have taught us to recognize gender equality and the empowerment of women as one of the key tenets of our society. We are also guided by the leadership of our Prime Minister, who has been instrumental in highlighting the importance of these issues through impactful campaigns such as Beti Bachao, Beti Padhao. Programs such as Digital India and MyGov platform have become phenomenal success stories in the last 9 years in creating a digitally empowered society and knowledge economy in India. The government has also taken numerous citizen-centric digital initiatives with a greater focus to enable access for women to finance, credit, technology, and employment. These initiatives have focused on providing immediate assistance to women in distress, preventing violence against women, and promoting women's full and equal participation in every sphere of society. For instance, the government of India has opened bank accounts for over 482 million people, of which more than 55% of account holders were women. During the COVID-19 pandemic, this initiative helped in direct benefit transfer to nearly 200 million women. 2. Women are being encouraged to take to STEM in India as never before. The figures are revealing. While globally, women constitute 36% of enrollment in the field of STEM, in India, the figures for women's enrollment in the field of STEM almost equal that of men. Schemes such as Vigyan Jyoti, Kiran, Curie, West, Udan, Pragati, the NMEICT are some outstanding examples. I will also very quickly add that we are very proud of the STEM stars in India. Dr. Indira Hinduja, Nandini Harinath, and Tessie Thomas are household names in our country. 3, women entrepreneurs have never had it so good as they have now. The government of India is taking proactive measures to encourage women entrepreneurs to get online and expand their access to the market. The use of digital technologies has been a game changer in this context. As just one example, women entrepreneurs are connected directly to the market through the government e-marketplace and the Mahila e-Heart, bolstering the same with easier operations for a seamless experience. Ladies and gentlemen, even as this rapid transformation continues apace, none of this is possible, neither sustainable development nor inclusive and peaceful societies, without gender equality. And without embracing technology, which is gender sensitive, we cannot achieve gender equality. Importantly also, we must ensure that the digital world should provide an open, equal, and safe information and communications technology environment for women and girls. One final word. We in India have been shaped by the idea of Shakti, the divine feminine strength and energy that creates the world. Our history, both ancient and contemporary, holds numerous examples of strong women role models. As a nation today, we strongly believe that the progress of women is the basis for the empowerment of the nation. The film that we just saw demonstrated that. I will take this opportunity to once again thank the organizers, AIWEFA, for bringing us together to share our thoughts on this very important theme. I'm sure that today's exchange will help us in reflecting upon our policies to achieve a technology-enabled social and economic empowerment and advancement for women and girls. Warm congratulations to the AIWEFA. Thank you.
Thank you, Ambassador Kamboj. That was very, very kind. I'm honored to introduce the event's keynote speaker, Honorable Minister for Women and Child Development, Srimati Smriti Irani. Srimati Smriti Zubin Irani is the Union Minister for Women and Child Development. She was nominated to the Rajya Sabha, the upper house of the Indian Parliament, representing the state of Gujarat in the year 2011. In August 2017, she was re-nominated to the Rajya Sabha from the state of Gujarat. In the 2019 general elections, she was elected to the Lok Sabha from Amethi. She was the Union Minister for Human Resource Development from May 2014 to July 2016, Minister for Information and Broadcasting from July 2017 to May 2018, and Minister for Textiles from July 2016 to July 2021. She was India's youngest Union Cabinet Minister in this government and the first woman to hold office as Union Minister for both Human Resource Development and Union Minister for Textiles. Ms. Irani has previously served in the organization in various posts such as National Secretary, member of the BJP National Executive, Vice President of BJP Maharashtra Youth Wing, National Vice President and National President of BJP Women's Wing. She has significantly and successfully pursued the Permanent Commission for India in the Indian Army by facilitating legal aid to women officers. She has also launched Saksham, the first ever vision document released by any political organization in India, which underlines policies, programs, and implementation tools for the upliftment of the differently abled in India. The World Economic Forum has named Mrs. Irani as the Young Global Leader from India for the year 2015. I would request Srimati Smriti Irani to deliver the keynote address. Honorable Minister.
Honorable Chair, Excellencies, distinguished delegates, ladies and gentlemen. Namaskar from the capital of India, New Delhi. I want to start by extending my congratulations to the All India Women's Education Fund Association and the Permanent Mission of India to the United Nations in New York for this partnership on the sidelines of the 67th seminar of the Commission on the Status of Women. While the UN's work in driving purposeful change surpasses introduction, the All India Women's Education Fund Association is a homegrown institution founded by Gandhiji, which now occupies the highest rungs of respect within our country for their efforts in inculcating scientific temperament in women's education. The theme for the event is a thought exercise, a world we women and girls want. India's recent focus has been to curate programmatic intervention that make women the architects of their own destiny. The Government of India in the past 9 years has tried to arm its citizens with digital infrastructure to transform the country into a digitally empowered knowledge economy. The Digital India scheme is the flag bearer of this brand of intervention. Recognizing that digital access is a superstructure of which technical know-how forms only one facet, the government has designed policies that supported the all-around empowerment of women. Even a decade ago, Indian women toiled and coughed in smoke-filled kitchens over burning brick stoves. To encourage LPG consumption that lifted families from this grim picture, the Government of India under Prime Minister Modi launched the Pradhan Mantri Ujjwala Yojana, granting much-needed financial assistance to vulnerable families. Under this scheme, approximately 95 million LPG connections have been provided to women from marginalized and poor households. Between 2015-16 to 2019-21, the household usage of clean cooking fuel has gone up to approximately 60%. When women of the household would spend hours of their precious time collecting water from community sources, the Jal Jeevan Mission under Prime Minister Modi's administration has brought respite by way of portable drinking water and tap connection to over 100 million households. We are about to connect all households in the country through tap water by the year 2024. Collectively, such and other schemes such as the Pradhan Mantri Awas Yojana, which has helped build 30 million homes for the poor in India, have listed women of the household as home owners under this flagship public housing scheme, identifying women as the chief recipients of policy benefits and empowered them to be foot soldiers of change. The government has made concerted efforts to correct gender biases in the marketplace as well. Diligently appreciating the globally persisting barriers of entry of women into the market, the government has expanded the ambit of women's skills and has increased their access to credit and seed money for ventures. Today, in our country, over 90 million women are producing various kinds of articles such as food products, handicrafts, and even managing departmental stores through our self-help groups. Grassroots and non-governmental organizations can enable behavioral change at the community level through their networks. India, for example, is a country with a dense and talented patchwork of arts and crafts, helmed mostly by women. Such organizations can train women artisans in scaling operations, in marketing their products, and in connecting them to our consumers. Needless to say that forging public-private partnerships is of vital importance. We need marginalized girls to have opportunities for job shadowing, mentorships, scholarships, and developing aspirations to work in emerging industries with well-paid and formalized jobs. The state curates policies. The Government of India has designed a foolproof environment that has offered dignity to women through increased access to credit and basic infrastructural facilities. Although well-meaning and well-designed, markets and civil society need to drive much of the translation of such policies. Hence, the spirit of such policies must be upheld by everybody. I reiterate and reaffirm the commitment of the Government of India under Prime Minister Modi to ensure gender equity and equality pursuant to the United Nations Sustainable Development Goals. I am sure that the initiative taken by the Government of India under the leadership of Prime Minister Modi in the past few years for promoting gender equality and empowerment will provide an opportunity to women to live a better and quality life and provide freedom to them to help determine their future beyond traditional expectations. I firmly believe that the deliberations during this event will help us together reach a gender-just society globally. Jai Hind.
It is now my privilege to introduce our next speaker, Her Excellency Ms. Anita Bhatia, Assistant Secretary General and Deputy Executive Director of UN Women. Ms. Anita Bhatia serves as Assistant Secretary General and UN Women's Deputy Executive Director for Resource Management, UN System Coordination, Sustainability and Partnerships. She has worked in Latin America, Africa, Europe, Central Asia, and South and East Asia, and brings extensive experience in the area of strategic partnerships, resource mobilization, and management. Previously, Ms. Bhatia served as the Director for Development Partnered Relations at the World Bank Group, Director of Partnerships and Advisory Services Operations, and Global Head of Knowledge at the International Finance Corporation. Ms. Bhatia has had a distinguished career at the World Bank Group, serving in various senior leadership and management positions, both at headquarters and in the field. She brings extensive experience in the area of strategic partnerships, resource mobilization, and management. May I invite Her Excellency Ms. Anita Bhatia to deliver a special address to us.
Thank you so much. Good morning. Honorable Minister Smriti Irani ji, Permanent Representative of India to the United Nations, Her Excellency Ruchira Kamboj, distinguished panelists, distinguished permanent representatives to the United Nations, let me start by just congratulating the All India Women's Education Fund Association for putting on this marvelous and well-timed panel. There has never been a better time to discuss the topic of this panel, which is technology-enabled social and economic advancement. We find ourselves today at a confluence of global crises of unheard proportions. The combination of climate change, conflict, food insecurity, energy transition, and other global issues is presenting the world with both a challenge and an opportunity. The challenges that are faced by women are particularly difficult to resolve through traditional means. What the world needs today are leapfrogging solutions which allow us to cut the learning curve and to be able to transition from the world that we knew before the pandemic to realize the opportunities that we saw during the pandemic to rebuild the world in a different way. What the pandemic revealed to all of us globally was that we were, in fact, all those who have access, digital natives at heart, because nobody foresaw before the pandemic that the world would be able to adopt digital technology in the way that it did. But the question we have to ask ourselves is this digital opportunity available equally to girls and to women in the way that it is available to boys and men? And the answer is, sadly, still no. The reasons for this are manifold. There are basic reasons for lack of access by girls and women to digital technology and the promise of technology, starting with fundamental issues such as actual access to the internet. In many parts of the world, unfortunately, internet access is not something that girls and women can easily acquire. This has to do with levels of poverty in particular countries or regions, but sometimes it also has to do with cultural norms and gender stereotypes. It also has to do with occupational segregation, because we find that there are still jobs that are reserved for boys and men, and that there are jobs where girls and women have a difficult time getting entry. This may be due to lack of education, lack of skills, or very often the view in their families about the kinds of jobs that they should be doing. Women worldwide are only 27% of engineering graduates and 40% of computer science graduates. So it was really heartening to hear from Her Excellency Ruchira Kamboj about how the numbers in India are changing rapidly, and that the number of graduates in science and STEM fields for girls and women is almost the same as boys. And we know that in many parts of the world, in fact, there are more girls and women graduating in STEM fields than boys and men. And so while women continue to be generally underrepresented in the STEM fields, it is heartening to hear of country examples where this is changing and changing rapidly. In order to ensure that technology-enabled social and economic advancement becomes truly something that can lift girls, women, and therefore all of society out of poverty, we must remember the interconnectivity between SDG 5 and the other SDGs. It is important to remind all of ourselves that we are only 7 years away from the 2030 goal. Without accelerated action, it will become impossible for us to achieve the 2030 agenda. SDG 5, ladies and gentlemen, is the docking SDG for all other SDGs. If we invest heavily in SDG 5 and ensure that all efforts in digitalization are done with a gender lens, then there is hope that we might be able to achieve the 2030 goals, and that we will see a world where SDG 5 is implemented, not just for the sake of SDG 5, but for the sake of all other SDGs. We need innovation ecosystems that will advance gender equality, deliver public value. This requires a multi-stakeholder approach where government provides the enabling environment, just as was described by Her Excellency Smriti Irani ji, but we also need the private sector, civil society, academics, and institutions like AIWEFA to play a leading role. Thank you very much, and I wish you further excellent discussions.
Thank you, Ms. Anita Bhatia, for your address. We now have with us Her Excellency Ms. Ilana Victoria Saib, Permanent Representative of Palau to the United Nations. It is indeed a pleasure to introduce Her Excellency to the august audience. The Permanent Representative of Palau to the United Nations, Ms. Ilana V. Saib, presented her credentials to UN Secretary General Antonio Guterres on 16 September 2021. Before her appointment, Ambassador Said was the founder and CEO of the online e-commerce company Sunday Morning. Prior to launching Sunday Morning, Ambassador Said worked as software engineer and technology project manager in New York, and as an investment banker at Lehman Brothers and Nomura Securities in Japan, Hong Kong, Singapore, and New York. She holds a bachelor's degree in economics from Stanford University in the United States. May I now request Her Excellency, Ms. Ilana Victoria Syed, to deliver a special address.
Thank you, Rita, and thank you very much to the All India Women's Education Fund Association and the Permanent Mission of India and dear sister Ruchita for inviting me to be a panelist. This topic is one that's very near and dear to my heart. As you may have heard in the introduction, my background is not in diplomacy, but rather in finance and in technology. And so I kind of went through that journey of becoming a software engineer and focusing on STEM fields. And I think it's a journey that I'd like to share some personal experiences from to help inform our conversation today. So before I went into technology, I worked in finance, and and so very much in the STEM field area. One of the challenges that I faced was the structure of corporate finance, and this very male-driven environment was very challenging to balance. Having a family, and being a caretaker for my family. It was not in finance. The men would go around saying, we don't like to invest in women because when they have children, they don't work as hard, or they would leave. And so it was a really non-productive environment to be a female banker. And so kind of with that lens and understanding that I wanted a family, I wanted to focus on technology to have more of a freedom to build my own future. So I became a software engineer, which gave me a lot more flexibility to either work from home or work remotely. And then I started an e-commerce company, which enabled me to set my own hours. And I think my own experience. I think the future is built. And so if we want a future where women can be these multifaceted individuals, where we are professionals and we're caretakers, we need to enable that environment. So basically, some of the things that I thought were very helpful was enabling the environment to learn, specifically for STEM and for technology. So having a lot more female-focused scholarships and having some quotas for that. Both finance and tech are very male-driven. And so we found that when we were recruiting, it's mostly men that applied for the position. So we need to enable an environment where we facilitate the right investments to make sure that women not only apply and are encouraged to apply, but also have the funding and support to enable them to learn. Civil society also plays a really important role. And I found that when women go into these fields, it's quite lonely to be a woman engineer in a field full of men. So I joined organizations here in New York. There's one called Girls Who Code. We would meet regularly, and there's a lot of camaraderie and sharing of ideas, sharing of challenges. And there was another organization called Dreamers and Doers, very female focused. And they focused a lot on bringing women in technology leaders to come and speak to us. So Katrina Lake is a CEO of a digital company called Stitch Fix. She created this company that was really focused on women, how women style their outfits and their children. And so created the technology applications to hire mostly women who can, do their job when they're sitting on the soccer field, watching their children play. They call it fix a box for their clients. So it's shifting from this old paradigm of male dominated, you need to sit in an office and do the things that we need you to do, to recognizing that there's other ways that women can work and facilitating those things. So I think the environment for investment in education, but also having access and learning from the trailblazers that have come before us, the women who have built these companies, and the way that they're building them differently is also a really important thing to keep women engaged and to also make sure that they sustain their ambition in the technology. in the technology space. I really like Ruchira's statement earlier about how the government is facilitating entrepreneurs. I think that's also a really important thing, making sure that there's funding, grant funding, scholarships, finance, startup finance, so that when women graduate and they have the training, that they have also the environment to start their own companies. And I think that's also a very important part of the equation. So it's really a partnership of investment in education, the partnership with civil service, and help from the women who've actually done it before, and then the government coming in and really trying to pour some gasoline into making sure that women have the support, the financing to really go after their dreams. Yes, I think it's been said before, both, in technology, there's still a lot of cultural norms and gender bias and stereotypes that exist. And I'm very glad to hear that some of the trends are working in our direction. But I think we also need to make sure that we kind of stay the course and make sure that tools are built for women by women. I think that was a trend that we've seen in the past, is most of the companies that were built, in the last decade, 2 decades, are mostly built by men, and tools that women use are mostly built by men. And I think that there's a great opportunity for women to build tools for themselves, to build tools that are safer for themselves and for their children. I think that's also a really key piece of data, that I think women are generally a little bit more sensitive to the things that their children are exposed to. So facilitating that as well. So I think I'll end with that. And Ruchira said that you mentioned Shakti. In Palau, we have our own goddess, and her name is Milad, and she is the goddess of creation. And so one of the things that, Palans like to say is that women create. And I think that's the same when we say, the future is female, the future needs to be built. And so hopefully we can all work together to create the environment and facilitation for women to create the future. Thank you.
Thank you, Your Excellency, Ms. Ilana Victory Saib, for that wonderful address to the audience. I now have the pleasure of introducing our next speaker, Her Excellency Anna Karin Enestrom, Permanent Mission of Sweden to the United States. Ambassador Anna Karin Enestrom is the permanent representative of Sweden to the United Nations since December 2019. Prior to her current appointment, she was the Director General for Political Affairs and the Head of Secretariat at the Swedish Ministry for Foreign Affairs, where Ambassador Enestrom led Sweden's successful candidacy to the UN Security Council. She has served as a representative to the Political and Security Committee at the Permanent Representation of Sweden to the European Union in Brussels. She was the Special Envoy and the Swedish Ambassador to Pakistan and Afghanistan. In addition to her current position as Permanent Representative, Ambassador Enestrom's experience from United Nations affairs includes serving as Deputy Chef de Cabinet of the Office of the President of the General Assembly, as Minister Counselor and Head of the Political Section at the Swedish Mission to the United Nations, and as Counselor and Legal Advisor also at the Swedish Mission. Ladies and gentlemen, presenting the special address by Ambassador Enestrom.
Dear colleagues, distinguished guests, let me begin by expressing how grateful I am for having been invited by India to this important discussion today. Cooperation in tech and innovation, especially in the health sector, is a central aspect to bilateral relationship between our countries. It feels good to take this collaboration forward in the digital space. Chair, this year's CSW theme serves as an important reminder of the immense potential that digital transformation holds for accelerating gender equality and women's empowerment. The COVID-19 pandemic has accelerated the global digital and data-driven transformation, with digital technologies now being leveraged for work, leisure and learning. Digital literacy has become almost as important as traditional literacy. Many are describing this as fourth industrial revolution, defined by the increasing use of automation and artificial intelligence. Digital skills has never been as prized as now. But as we know, the digital revolution has left behind a critical part of our society, our women and girls. We often speak of a digital divide, and there is no doubt that this is a key global challenge to be tackled. But there is also a gender digital divide, which has left many unable to reap the benefit of digitalization. Globally, women are less likely than men to own a mobile phone, less likely than men to use mobile internet, especially rural women, compared to their urban counterparts, find themselves more disenfranchised from technology, limiting their access to information, digital services, and opportunities. And when women and girls are connected to the digital world, many find themselves exposed to cyber violence that deters them from digital participation in political, social, and cultural life. This divide has far-reaching economic consequences. According to UN Women's 2022 Gender Snapshot, women's exclusion from the digital world has caused a loss of $1 trillion in the last decade, a loss that will increase by 50% by 2025 if nothing is done. In other words, women's participation in the digital sphere is not only just a matter of gender equality, it is a prerequisite for sustainable development. So how can we harness the transformative potential of digital technology for women and girls while mitigating the potentially harmful risks associated with the use? As a starting point, we must make a greater and more sustained investment in increasing women and girls' digital literacy and familiarity with technology. This will enable them to participate effectively in the digital economy and gain access to digital services such as education, healthcare, and online banking. E-commerce and technology-based businesses offer women more flexibility, helping them to manage both paid and unpaid work, which is essential for economic empowerment. However, basic skills will not be sufficient. We must also promote women and girls in the ICT sector by developing their skills in areas such as coding, where they are still critically underrepresented. By enhancing their digital skills and presenting them with female role models, we can also increase opportunities to pursue the careers in science, technology, engineering, and mathematics, a field that reportedly 75% of jobs will relate to by 2050. Third, women also need to be involved in the creation and the decision-making around digital technology. We must ensure that today's emerging data-driven solution to not perpetuate harmful gender stereotypes and patterns of discrimination. Online content and technology need to be developed with and for women and girls in a way that responds to their specific needs and priority within a regulatory framework that prioritizes, protects, and promotes the human rights of women and girls. Finally, we must make an online spaces safe for women and girls. Unfortunately, cyber harassment and violence against women and girls are often not taken seriously, deterring them from using the internet and threatening their online freedom and of expression. Besides helping women and girls to recognize, report, and recover from online abuse, we must also intensify our civic education, work directly with the perpetrators, often boys and men, to uproot harmful social norms and power dynamics that underlie their action. As the world is evolving to become more digital, we must ensure we can keep up the pace and unleash the potential of women and girls to become active agents of change in this transformation. Digital technologies need to be used to accelerate progress on the Sustainable Development Goals and gender equality, not to set us further back. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Your Excellency, Ms. Anna Karen Enstrom. Our next speaker this evening is Her Excellency Ms. Inga Rhonda King, Permanent Mission of St. Vincent and the Grenadines. Her Excellency Inga Rhonda King, who comes to diplomacy from the private sector, has lived and worked in several Caribbean countries, the United States of America, and China. She is a small business owner, business strategist, the author of 3 books, and a management accountant. She is the immediate past chair of the Investment Promotions Agency of St. Vincent and the Grenadines, Invest SVG, and a former honorary consul for Portugal to St. Vincent and the Grenadines. She taught English as a foreign language in China from 2002 to 2003 and has been a volunteer mathematics teacher for at-risk children in Miami. From 2010, King was chairperson of National Investment Promotion in Kingstown. She was also appointed honorary consul for Portugal. She became chair of St. Vincent and the Grenadines Investment Promotion Agency in 2011. I have great pleasure in inviting Her Excellency Ms. Inga Rhonda King to deliver her special address.
Thank you, Madam Chair, honorable ministers, excellencies, distinguished guests. I wish to begin by expressing my gratitude to the All India Women's Education Fund Association and the Permanent Mission of India for placing the focus on this critically important issue. As a country with a very long history of activism for gender equality led by women, St. Vincent and the Grenadines wishes to affirm our support for an integrated and holistic approach to gender justice and the strengthening of leadership skills in women, in particular, the role of technology and digital transformations. Existing challenges in gender equality is most acutely observed in the lack of attention to economic justice for women and girls. Given this reality, we must step up our efforts to redress enduring gender inequality by increasing women and girls' access to and use of digital technology. Ladies and gentlemen, distinguished participants, we all know the transformative power of women in shaping societies, and we can point to the critical role of women on the front lines confronting multiple crises, even if still inadequately acknowledged. In this connection, we are pleased that the Commission recognizes that digital technologies have profoundly transformed societies and promoted innovation that advances social development to ensure women and girls have equal access to quality education, healthcare services, decent work, and social protection, especially those in vulnerable situations. Madam Chair, my country, which I will remind is a SIDS, with a population of only 110,000 people, recognizes and understands the multiple barriers that prevent women and girls from achieving gender equality and the empowerment of all women and girls in connection to innovation, technological change, and education in the digital age. And that is why my government has advocated and established several programs to ensure an inclusive society. We have consistently provided technological tools to educational institutions across our country, from primary to tertiary education, including laptops and tablets, for digital e-learning to updating computer lab equipment as part of its ongoing efforts to facilitate digital transformation. The first phase of distribution was done in 2014 to increase digital learning. The second phase in 2020 as a response to the COVID-19 outbreak and a move toward online learning. And the third in 2021, immediately after the volcanic eruption. In addition, the National Telecommunication Regulatory Commission, NTRC, offered over 600 vulnerable households the opportunity to access internet connection under the USF Smart project for 2 years as a subsidized cost, at a subsidized cost, which benefited women and girls. The importance of the equitable treatment of women's role in digital development can never be overstated. Measures that seek to address this almost ubiquitous problem should be embraced and supported at all levels, including ICT-led initiatives. Women and girls should not only benefit from digital technology, but also be part of the decision-making processes. Hence, women's participation in government and civil society and women's educational and economic empowerment must go hand in hand with efforts to address the existing digital gaps in social and other injustices. While women continue to be underrepresented in the electoral politics and in the civil service, while they continue to be underrepresented in the electoral politics of our country, in the civil service, significantly more than 50% of the permanent secretaries and department heads are female, and most school principals are also female. This can be seen across the entire Caribbean community. My government remains cognizant of the fact that unless there is an inclusive approach and equal treatment of all members of our society in all aspects of our development, including equal access to all aspects of technology, which remains a top priority for our government, other initiatives will ultimately fail. Madam Chair, there are many opportunities for women and girls in the digital age, but for this to be a success, we must harness technology and innovation for the empowerment of women and girls in science, technology, engineering, arts, and mathematics, STEAM. Efforts to close the gender digital divide would require a global movement that prioritizes digital inclusion and safety to ensure that no one is left behind. I thank you for your attention.
Thank you, Your Excellency, Ms. Inga Rhonda King, for a very informative presentation. Our next speaker is Dr. Sangeeta Reddy, Joint Managing Director of Apollo Hospitals Enterprise Limited, India, and past President of the Federation of Indian Chambers of Commerce and Industry. Dr. Sangeeta Reddy is a global healthcare influencer, healthcare technocrat, social entrepreneur, and humanitarian, passionately committed to transforming healthcare systems through technological advancements. She has been conferred with an honorary doctorate by Macquarie University, Australia, in recognition of her untiring efforts and resolute commitment to bringing transformative changes in healthcare, development of health information technology, and championing manifold initiatives both in India and abroad. She is an honorary consul of Brazil in Hyderabad, appointed by the Government of India. Dr. Sangeeta Reddy is also a member of the World Economic Forum. In December 2019, she became the president of the Industry Chamber, Federation of Indian Chambers of Commerce and Industry, for 2019-2020. She has been nominated by the Government of India as a member of the Technology Development Board, Department of Science and Technology, Government of India. I would invite Dr. Sangeeta Reddy to deliver a special address.
Hello and namaste. It is my pleasure to be connected with the All India Women's Education Fund Association, and my thanks to Rita Menon and Mona Suri for inviting me. My apologies, I'm unable to be there in person, but I'm very excited to be part of this deliberation, and I have also requested that my team be there to gain insights from all of you and to understand practical solutions. I think all of us are here for a common cause, to discuss the key challenges that women and girls are facing in terms of access to technology for social and economic advancement, to deliberate on technological innovations which are happening in the field of science, of healthcare, of livelihood, and to analyze how we can ensure that these powers are reaching men and women equally. Also to share best practices from United Nations, member states, NGOs, and to deliberate on the future of innovations. This is an exciting topic. Let me share that this year as India is handling the G20 presidency, I'm privileged to be the chair of G20 Empower, which is the private sector-led women-focused area of G20. India itself is making a very, very powerful presence in G20. Our Honorable Prime Minister gave to the world something which I think is significant, in that while it is a country's responsibility that he has, he looks to the world, and he stated that India will create as its theme the concept of benefiting and thinking of everything that we do from the lens of one world, one family, and one future. And I think this demonstrates this ideology of India, which is the concept of Vasudhaiva Kutumbakam, that the whole world is one family and we are all, what we do has a collective impact on each other. Keeping this idea in mind also came the very powerful thought from the Prime Minister of not just women development or women empowerment or women equity and parity, but women-led development, which has created a series of initiatives across the country and across, all the way down to the grassroots, where women are being empowered in multiple roles of leadership. You see over 1 million young women as ASHA workers. You see Pani Sakhis in villages. Women are now taking decisions on water distribution. You look at the powerful empowerment through the reservation in Panchayat for women, and a multitude of other significant initiatives to ensure that the quality of life, whether it's safety, access to health, financial inclusion, all these are increasing and enabling and improving the quality of life for women, and then giving women a voice and ensuring that women step up in leadership. So whether it's self-help groups or women entrepreneurship, each of these areas, women independent directors, women on boards, every single area is moving forward. Yet, while I'm happy with all these figures, statistics at a global level are something that we cannot ignore. And I think at the World Economic Forum in Davos, various factors of the rate of change of women empowerment and the inability for us to reach the SDG goals of 50-50 by 2030. This is a very, very powerful and a problematic area that we should collectively focus on. And just to share one or two of those statistics, I think that I would say, let me just give you this one or two numbers. It is being researched now that it will take 95 years before there is parity in girls' secondary education for the poorest 20% of the world. And here let me say that, the good part is that in primary education, we're getting very close to 50-50. But it is secondary education and then higher education which really leads to employment. And therefore, we need to, in parallel, focus on that. So what are the reasons for the dropout rate? Whether it's access to clean toilets or safety in schools or financial or household burdens that young girls start taking up. Whichever are those reasons, let's analyze, discuss, debate, and find practical solutions. At the G20 Empower, we are looking at entrepreneurship as a win-win for equity and the economy. We're looking at leadership at all levels of society, and we're looking at education as a methodology to empower women. So from this, these powerful three pillars are evolving the strategy towards a more equal world and a better world. I congratulate all of you. I believe that the solutions are many, whether it's, focus of women, future skilling for women, greater education, a bit of access, whether it is in business, better financial inclusion, appreciation of the fact that women own less assets and therefore they're getting less loans, various inputs, but also the very, very powerful social dynamic of accepting women as equal, of sharing the responsibilities and the household burdens that they carry, of building infrastructure for the care economy so that that burden does not fall solely on them and is a shared responsibility. So many of these ideas are evolving. Many women are standing up to say, let's do more. And the good part is many men are standing up to say, let's do more because it's better for society. I congratulate all of you for your focus on education. I look forward to your support, your involvement, and your advice in G20 Empower, because education is one of the main pillars for a better future for women. I request each one of you to become an advocate of G20 Empower and take the pledge to create a more equal world. And I thank you for this opportunity and look forward to a better future for all of us. Thank you and namaste.
Thank you, Dr. Sangeeta Reddy, for your most mindful and thought-provoking presentation, which had so much of passion in it. Before I ask Ms. Chitra Sarkar, the Vice President, All India Women's Education Fund Association, to deliver the vote of thanks and the summing up for the way forward, I want to, in my personal capacity, thank all the speakers and panelists who've made it possible to be present and to make our participation of AIWEFA with the Permanent Mission of India in New York a success. Ms. Chitra Sarkar.
Thank you. Namaskar. On behalf of the All India Women's Education Fund Association, I would like to thank Her Excellency Ambassador Ruchira Kamboj and the Permanent Mission of India to the United Nations, New York, for partnering with us at this side event during the 67th annual meeting of the UN Commission on the Status of Women. This will be our fourth consecutive side event, organized jointly by the Permanent Mission of India and AIWEFA. Thank you, Ambassador Kamboj. In her welcome address, Ambassador Kamboj recalled India's ancient values, which emphasize gender equality as a guiding tenet of our country. The Government of India has introduced several initiatives to provide equal access to women in cyberspace. Under government auspices, 482 million bank accounts have been opened, half of them for women. Girls are encouraged to study science, technology, and mathematics, and Indian women are ahead of the global average in these fields. Women's enterprise is also flourishing through Mahila e-Hearts. Shakti is the ancient divine feminine force which still energizes us today, along with the famous heroines of history, which provide us with ready role models. Thank you for your inspiring words, Ambassador Kamboj. Her Excellency Srimati Smriti Irani, Honorable Minister for Women and Child Development, Government of India, presented the keynote address. AIWEFA is honored that she recalled our pioneering role in founding an institution of higher learning for women in order to impart a scientific temper to women's education in India. We are still carrying that mission forward. Lady Irwin College, Delhi, established by AIWEFA in 1932, completed 90 years last year. Honorable Minister Irani spoke of the Indian government's commitment to improving the quality of life of Indian women through the use of technology-driven government programs. In 2020, Prime Minister Modi had told the Indian Science Congress that he was concerned about poor Indian housewives who toiled over wood and coal fires to produce the daily meal. The Prime Minister's Ujjwala Yojana has challenged this dismal scenario, and 95 million LPG connections have been provided to poor families. She also mentioned other technology-driven schemes which have benefited Indian women. And these include Jal Jeevan Mission, which brought safe tap water to 100 million households, the PM Awas Yojana, which gave women home ownership, e-commerce sites, which facilitated women artisans in marketing their products, and other schemes which encourage their entrepreneurial spirit through easier access to seed, money, and credit. In fact, in our own way, we have all benefited. The DigiLocker, the DigiYatra, and most importantly, the UPI payments portal transformed our own lives for the better. Thank you, Minister Irani. We were privileged to be joined by a very distinguished panel of speakers, and we deeply appreciate their participation. Her Excellency Ms. Anita Bhatia, Assistant Secretary General and Deputy Executive Director of UN Women, pointed out that a discussion on the importance of technology on economic and social advancement is indeed very timely. There are challenges and opportunities, but the challenges are very serious. The world has been devastated by COVID and needs to be rebuilt. The digital explosion which followed the pandemic must be made accessible to women. This is not always the case due to poverty, cultural norms, and gender sensitization. We are only 7 years away from 2030 and must invest heavily in SDG 5 in order to achieve our SDG goals. Her Excellency Ms. Ilana Victoria Said, Permanent Representative of Palau to the United Nations, is an engineer herself and shared her experience in this male-driven field. Her Excellency believes that women should be encouraged with quotas and scholarships to remain in STEM subjects, and women should build tools to facilitate other women to stay the course. In closing, she recalled the female deity of creation in Palau, which underscores the importance of the feminine force in society. Her Excellency Ms. Anna Karen Ennerstrom, Permanent Mission of Sweden to the United Nations, examined the consequences of the digital divide in her special address. Digital literacy has become as important as traditional literacy, but has left many women and girls behind, especially those from rural areas and those who have no access to mobile phones. Many women face cyber violence when they enter the world of the internet, and they lack the means to encourage and report and recover from it. Online technology needs to be made available to prioritize the human rights of women and girls. Her Excellency emphasized that women must be encouraged to study coding and take up science, engineering, and mathematics, since 75% of jobs lie in these sectors. Her Excellency Ms. Inga Rhonda King, Permanent Mission of St. Vincent and the Grenadines, pointed out that she comes from an area with a long history of fighting for gender justice and equity, and believes that without equal access to technology on a global basis, economic and social justice cannot become a reality. Dr. Sangeeta Reddy, Joint Managing Director of Apollo Hospitals Enterprise Limited, is chairing the G20 Empower Group this year. She gave us heartening news that primary education is rapidly heading towards 50-50 access for girls and boys. However, secondary and higher education, which is key to employment, lags behind. In Davos, it was estimated that equality in secondary and higher learning will not be achieved for 95 years. Dr. Reddy queried why girls drop out in secondary school. As NGOs operating in India, we are familiar with some of their woes. When a girl reaches puberty, she becomes extra vulnerable. Sexual predators dog her steps. The lack of toilets presents a serious drawback. Her parents cannot afford further education, and it seems safest to marry her off. These realities deny her her right to full personal development. It's time we recognize that the pubescent girl child is a separate and very special subset of womanhood, and we must address her issues in a targeted manner. We must encourage her to stay in school, and most importantly, not to fear studying science, technology, engineering, and maths, STEM for short. It will improve her employability, income prospects, and self-confidence. As Dr. Reddy pointed out, Vasudhaiva Kutumbakam, the world is our family, and the growing girl child is its future. In his opening remarks at the start of CSW 67, Secretary General Antonio Guterres said that patriarchy is fighting back, and the COVID pandemic has leached away many gains of previous years. It will take 300 years to achieve gender equality, he warned. Despite these dark clouds, our webinar today indicates that our way forward is filled with hope. India is marching towards widespread digital access. We are aware of the critical areas that need special support. Honorable Minister Irani emphasized that this is a mission that everyone must join. The Indian government's initiatives must be supported by civil society and market mechanisms. Dr. Reddy observed that not just women, but also men have begun to understand this. We must promote digital literacy among women and girls, and we must make online safe for them. Cyber harassment must be taken seriously, and we must make every effort to uproot the harmful social norms that underlie such behavior. We must bring the benefits of technology to both genders that hold up the sky together. Before I close, I would like to thank the KK Birla Research Foundation for their support. We also thank UN Web TV for bringing our deliberations to the UN platform. And in this digital age, we are blessed with a very talented team of young women from Lady Irwin College who support us. Their social media campaigns and technical expertise enabled us to reach you, our wonderful audience. Thank you for joining our session. Thank you, Jai Hind, and Namaskar.